Alright, morning folks. Hope you guys are doing okay and nobody's caught in a fire. My people up in Corscold, I'm worried about them. It's getting awful close. But my partners in Sonora, they're fine. Everybody else I know is fine, I think. Anyway, you got to clean out the desk a little bit today. There was a couple things I had to go over. You know, get it out of the way. I had to write it down, of course, because of my birthday. I made a list, so it says here, put on both socks. All right, I got that. Now, anybody that lives near Pennsylvania, there's two folks up there that are friends of ours, and it's Mark and Sam Smucker. And they're out of Corryville, Pennsylvania. And if you got any problems with a horse or want to get something done, they're the folks to go see. So I'll guarantee you they'll take care of you. Another one's Melvin King. I'm not sure what town he's in, but anyway, they're good people. And what I'd like to go over is you got two messages. First one I had to kind of laugh at. It's borderline humor, but the message was, get on the SOB. Meaning this horse standing over here, Chinaco. So much for the patience part of this deal, but I would like to go over the reasons. It came to me that it's just like that, putting that loop on the back of the sawbuck. So I'm going to go over why I'm not riding this colt, and maybe that'll help clear things up. Now he's 2.5, and just because he's tall doesn't mean he's old. He's just tall. And just as something to compare with is that in Europe, they don't race horses till they're 3. And those of you that are around the racetrack world know that the colts are born according to the calendar here. So they get them to be birthed at the perfect time, which means they're getting ridden way younger than they should be. And you can look at the stats at Santa Anita Racetrack. That'll give you kind of an idea of what I'm talking about. The other thing is that he's starting to kind of get a settled look to him. And what it means is I run him with other horses on purpose so he can get kicked around or take over or whatever he's going to do. And I noticed a couple months ago he started to kind of relax a little bit and he didn't have so much of the play in him like colts do. So I'm gaining on him mentally and I want him to be settled when I do get on him. Now the Iberian Horse, which is what he is more a hot-blooded animal. Okay, a quarter horse is more of a cold-blooded animal. So the Iberian Horse, the way this one's put up, if you'll notice, he's not real wide in the chest. And he's pretty long-legged, but his bone density isn't there yet for the height. So if I added my puss gut to him, that'd add that much more weight to his back, and I have no reason to do that. And I'll just mention it now. It isn't about riding him, it's about preparing him. And just for the sake of knowing, folks that haven't been around the Iberian horses, they're an animated animal. They're not gated. Big difference. And with that animation, that's one of the reasons why I wanted him. And we bred his mother to get a colt, which we did, because he's custom made for the California spade bit tradition. So that's the razón, the bloodlines behind him. Now the horse, I'll give you another example. Shoshone, who I'm sitting on, well, I've been riding him about 6 months. I think he's about 10. And what I did was I just cowboyed on him and just rode him. And then I rode him some more and then I rode him. And then did I mention I've been riding him? Well, the other day in the corral, I was working cattle by myself, which I enjoy. The boss just told me to cut some heifers we just pregged, wanted them cut out. And for those of you who've been around yearling heifers, they're a little twitchy sometimes. Anyway, as soon as I put my eyes on the one I wanted, the ones the boss told me to get out, I got the first one eyeballed, and I could feel him take over. Now, those of you that punch cows know exactly what I'm talking about. And what means is that his mind wasn't about being scared of things on the ground. It wasn't about being cold-jawed or dead-sided. It was about him working that cow. So I started working her down the fence, and she doubled back, and he dropped his shoulder and turned and went and stopped on his hindquarter and stopped her from going back. That wasn't me. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there comes a time when you ride these horses when the light comes on, and then it's your job to stay out of their way. So I'm just waiting on the light to come on that colt, and I expect a horse to be broke when they're 10. All right, so if I get on him at 3 or close to 3, then I've got 7 years to get him right. And then I'm going to get another 10 out of him just for the thrill of getting to ride a good horse and just keep trying to get better. So I guess my point is I'm not in a hurry. And then looking right dead in front of our feet, if you'll notice in the background, that's not fog. So with 100-degree temperatures and a lot of smoke, it's not real conducive to getting on a horse and making him breathe heavy, which is what he would do if I was just starting him. So I'd shoot myself in the foot if I got on him now and got to going outside and he decided to run off and breathing all that smoke. It's not good for him, just like it isn't good for anybody. So I hope that covers all the reasons why I'm not getting on the SOB. And besides that, I already know I can ride him. That isn't a problem. I'm looking forward to it. I'm designing the bit in my brain almost every day. I think about it. So, poco a poco. Now, to my second point, the balance between groundwork and riding. This one didn't make me chuckle. This was a good, solid question. And the question was, how do you make a balance between groundwork and riding? How do you do that? When do you quit dinking around on the ground and get on and get to riding? Well, okay, I've already explained to you when. But then after that, I need to give you a couple examples. Like him, pretty quick, we've got our horses coming up from Baja, and I'm going to be on the road because I deliver the horses now around the country and teach on my way. He may not get even caught for a month. But I don't care, because the way my schedule is making a living, I'm not here to camp on him every day. If I did camp on him every day, I'd get him sour and resentful. So I don't work him every day. If I get to work him once or twice a week, I'm tickled to death. And I can go 3 weeks without working him. Well, this winter, when things slow down, there ain't a bunch of smoke in the country, then I know I'll have the time to do this correctly. So that's the timeline. Now, to balance, I got to explain to you, when it comes to the word balance, for 20 years I went around the country starting colts. I had colt starting clinics at first, and that was an absolute wreck, so I quit doing it. It was a three-way lose situation. I lost, the colt lost, and the owner lost. And as you can appreciate, you may around colt starting clinics, it all looks great that weekend, but then when you leave town, 90% of the people I started colts for didn't get on them after I left for who knows how long. 90%. I'd call them up to see how they're doing. I used to. Well, I turned him out because he was really tired from the weekend when you were here. Last thing I tell people is don't feel sorry for this colt. Get on it tomorrow and ride it. Well, I was talking to the wall. So anyway, I quit doing colt starting clinics, and we contracted doing colts on different outfits. And that worked out really good. I could spend more time with them. I did it correctly. I felt good. I was loping them outside in one day and all that stuff, and it was a good deal. But what I'm trying to tell you is I roped them, I saddled them, got on them and rode them in a day, and then I rode them another day, and then on the third day, I'd put the owner on, or maybe they didn't want to get on. But what I'd tell them was, now you can do the groundwork. I didn't do the groundwork before I started them. They were already halter broke, so to speak, and I just went in, roped them, and started them. Because I wanted the human to do the groundwork, and they were paying me to get on them. So I did, and they worked out just fine. So, you know, call it whatever you want, but I turned it around the other way. Now this colt, I got all the time in the world because it's my horse, so I can do my groundwork while he's growing up. When I pull in someplace on weekend, I'm there on Friday and gone on Sunday night. So I hope that makes sense to you. But, I still want to haul him with me. Take him when I day work. I want to take him with me and just tie him to the trailer and get him bar broke. And that's a big part of this colt deal for me. Get him off the place. And I do want to pack him also. So I hope that covers everything. And I just would like to show you what a nice day looks like for me with my colt. And I've had some folks get a hold of me about this roping deal. And I think I've explained to you how I start colts, but I don't feel like I could do a colt justice if I didn't rope them. Roping, groundwork are equally as important to me. So in the perfect sequence, I can rope them, then I do the groundwork, then I ride them in the perfect world. But roping a colt to me is a big deal. Now this colt's been roped a lot. Watch him. So when I have a day, and if I'm riding one of my Baja horses, I can come up here and rope him, and then rope him, and then, oh, by the way, I'll rope him. And I get to have a good day working a horse plus working my colt. That's kind of what I'm after. And it's all part of the foundation of getting him gentle. So you ask about roping colts, you can't rope them enough. And just do what I'm doing, except catch. That's always a plus. I want him to think about the best place in the corral is probably sticking with me. And you kind of prove to yourself that it's their choice where they want to be. It's not like you got a halter on them leading them around. You're just roping them and bringing them in. You can do a yearling, 2-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old, whatever you want. Watch, where's the best place in the corral to be there, horse? How about right here with me? Anyway, I hope that clears some things up for you. And once again, I'll say it, poco a poco. That's kind of the key. And I'm reading the Hawaiian books, and I'm really enjoying it. And a little trivia on Hawaii is that there's on the Parker Ranch in the 50s and up until the 50s, there was a part of the crew that was called the Rough Riders. And anybody that knows about Teddy Roosevelt, it was kind of named after him, tongue-in-cheek, because they also rode the rough string. So this crew had 4 round pins, and they would cut them 30 head of horses each, and they had 6 months to turn them out. And what was interesting to me was that one of the levels of horse they wanted was what they called a children's horse. And what it meant was when guests came to the Parker Ranch, as in dudes, they'd have something to put them on. So they knew that the horses that matched that level, they could tell the boss, this is a children's horse. And anybody that knows anything about Hawaii knows that it's real, the topography is different. You can be on lava one day and on the jungle the next. So they had different breeds. And the Morgan was pretty darn prominent at one time. And then the Thoroughbred paid the heaviest part before they got into quarter horses over the years. But I always liked the stories about the Morgans, the Percheons. And they adjusted to what they were doing. And I always think that's pretty smart when an outfit does that with their horses. And then they were a way bigger part with the remount than I realized. So if you're into the horse history, which I am, which incidentally, one of the reasons I read history, and when I'm working a horse, it's like reading a book. You just peel the layers off and turn the pages until you get to the plot and see what's going on with the horse. That's kind of how I relate to it. And then for you young aspiring cowboys, I'd like to share with you one of the worst possible things that you can do working cattle in the corrals. And I've seen it forever. And 90% of the time it's done on foot. And when you got a bunch of guys holding gates and they're trying to work calves or cows or any cattle down a long alley, and things get fast, I've watched somebody throw a gate at a cow. In other words, they just throw the gate because it's faster and they think they're going to cut her off. And all it does is gets her halfway through the gate, hooks on her hip, her pin bone, and then she jams the gate. Now, anybody that's ever hung a gate can relate to why you really don't want to jam a gate. Not to mention you knock a hip down on a cow. So if you get in that situation, something, I hate to be Captain Obvious, but you got to have a pin somewhere if you're doing a bunch of gates. Don't throw a gate at an animal. Really, don't throw one at a horse. You'll knock a hip down in a heartbeat. It's better off to spill it because you can always go get it. All right, if you have a pin that you know is your smallest pin, that's what you let your mistakes in. That's the last pin. Instead of letting it out into the big corral to go have to bring it back out. So that's my advice for the day. And that sound alone is enough to make your teeth cringe. So, and while I'm on the subject, yelling in the corrals, there's not a lot of benefit to it other than stressing animals and evidently making the human feel better because their lack of ability on a horse. And I used to have to tell my crew in the feedlot that if you're standing here yelling at a sick steer to get in a chute, the pen with the cattle in it's probably 50 feet away. And how many of those critters in the pen can hear you yelling? So their heart rate goes up, so now you're losing weight. A quiet crew is a good crew, and a good crew is a quiet crew. So, have a nice day. Thank you for eating my saddle string. Folks, I did want to tell you, for those of you that watch the YouTube videos, all you insomniacs, is that we had a video called Chinaco on the Logs Part 4. And that was, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. So if you can look that up and watch that video, and then watch the video we made the final exam the other day with Chinaco. And if you watch those two videos, it'll be blatantly clear to you how come I'm not getting on this colt. So you can watch the evolution. We're doing this on purpose with Chinaco. Is from when he was born until I ride him in a spade bit is what we're documenting. And it's important for you to know that according to the cards and letters, there's a lot of people doing the same exercises I'm doing with him. So I don't want to leave something out. So I'm trying to cover all the bases to help people with their horses. And that's it, you know. We do this for ranching industry and backyard trail riders. And the backyard trail rider isn't being a smart aleck. I'm just telling you, in their backyard they have a horse and they love to ride trails. So that's what they're called. So anyway, thanks a lot for watching it. Adios.